Soul brothers and sisters, welcome to this video. So let me get right into this. A follower has sent through a message about connection in union, connection in relationship. Let me just read this out. Hi Stephanos, I just started following you recently but love everything that I have been seeing. I'm kind of having a hard time with my boyfriend because he says he loves me and wants to be with me, which I believe him because I am his strongest and longest relationship. He has never been this committed to anything before, so that means a lot to me, but to me it seems that he is more interested in his friends than he is in the relationship. I feel at times that I'm fighting for his attention and affection anytime we're out in public. It's like we aren't together. He won't hold my hand, put his arms around me, or even give me a little kiss every now and then. He also won't even post a single photo of us on social media. I keep saying that it's fine, that it doesn't bother me, but deep down I know that's not true. I want to be showed off, but for some reason that turns him off. What does that mean about our relationship? So that's a big question. Now, I can't comment to what he's experiencing or what he's feeling. I just can't do that because I don't know him. I don't know enough details about the situation. However, I can speak to this experience is something very similar that I experienced throughout my years, and I'll explain things from my perspective and my vantage point. I'll also give you some options because it's not about anyone doing anything wrong or right. It's not about that his behavior is wrong and your behavior is right or vice versa. It's more about values alignment. And is the relationship in alignment? Is it in integrity with the vision that you both have? That's really, really important. So when we're talking about he has never committed to anything, but to me, he seems more interested in his friends than in the actual relationship. So I'm grateful that he's with me and this is the longest that he's been committed, but he seems more interested in his friends. So this isn't about bad or good. Let me be really honest there. So I'm going to speak to this in my earlier years, and I don't know how old you are either, because age is and is not relevant. There are certain experiences and stages that we move through that come with time that is intrinsically linked to age. And so depending on where you are in your life, maybe his focus is on developing himself. Maybe his focus is on his friendships. Maybe it's on his social life. Maybe it's on exploring the world and adventuring. Maybe he hasn't explained to you in great detail, or maybe he has and you're unable to hear that or not willing to listen. Again, I don't know. I'm not being assumptuous. I'm just painting it out as it could potentially be. And there could be a variety of other reasons as well. Maybe he's explained to you that the relationship that he's in with you is more casual and less connected and more free, but maybe he hasn't explained that in great detail. And so for me, what it meant for me was that I wasn't ready to be in a relationship because I had very similar tendencies. I wanted to spend more time with my friends. I wanted to explore the world. I liked the idea of having a partner. I liked the idea of having intimacy and sharing intimacy, but only when I wanted to. And so that was an immature kind of love. That was a very, let me see and let me feel what I can take and what I can get and what I can gain from this type of relationship. It's an indication of where he's at and what his values are at, where his values are and where his mindset is as well. And potentially where his heart is. Maybe his heart is closed off. Maybe he's experienced trauma, abuse, pain in his upbringing. Maybe he has fears around commitment and fears around being constricted and experiencing less freedom in his world. And so how he compensates for that is he goes out and he's with his friends and he feels free. He's autonomous. He's able to make decisions with himself. Maybe he has intimacy issues. Maybe there is an element of distraction there and he's numbing. Maybe he has gender normative values around what men should be doing in the world at his age, and having the convenience of a relationship when he wants it serves him, but to go beyond that, it's not where he's at. Maybe he has a fear of intimacy, fear of commitment. Maybe he needs space and freedom. Maybe you need to ask him why. That's very important as well. And so there are so many possibilities, and what it comes down to is communication. Can you communicate your needs with clarity? And can you ask questions without being massively emotionally charged? Because the moment that we are emotionally charged, when we're asking questions of our beloved, especially questions that are pushing us to our edge, that are testing us emotionally, that are testing us spiritually, that are asking us to look at our values with greater depth, it can be an issue with how that can be received. And so coming from a place of clarity and calmness and really honoring yourself and asking these questions is very important, because it could be some of those things, none of those things, or all of those things. Let me also address the question now around being in public. Now, again, he may be shy. He may legitimately be shy. His heart is scared to express emotion. One of the reasons could be, and one of the reasons was for me, is that I never experienced that level of emotive expression with my parents. So I never thought it was the norm. And so for many years in my relationships, I would be very apprehensive to express emotion or tenderness or endearment in public, because I never saw that from my parents. If anything, I saw my parents be quite abusive to each other in public and quite rude to each other in public. And so I wasn't accustomed to that, and it took me many years to mature into that and really understand that. It also could be a warning sign. So for me, something that coupled that experience with what I witnessed in my parents was that I had this fear of freedom, or fear of not being free, and fear of commitment, and fear of intimacy to some extent. And so I made a connection in my synaptic processes in my brain, in my heart, that if I am being affectionate in public with a woman, it means that I'm taken, and therefore I'm off the market. And that constricted me, and I felt really constricted. And that's one of the major reasons why I was unfaithful in so many of my relationships, because I was coming from deep embedded fear. And I didn't reconcile that. I wasn't willing to look at that. And I couldn't look at it because it was too painful, until I could look at it, no matter how painful it was. And so he may be scared to be perceived as taken. It could be infidelity. It could be a fear of commitment. And really, have you asked him? Have you asked him why? And is it maybe a fear of intimacy? And how are you responding to that? Are you shutting down and not letting him know? Maybe it's as simple as that's just not in his culture. That's not how he's been brought up. That's not what he's familiar with. And maybe if you showed him that, again, I don't know, but maybe if you showed him that, and you spoke to him at a deeper level around that, maybe he would respond to you. Again, I don't know. You have to have that conversation. Another part of what you say, I keep saying that it's fine and that it doesn't bother me. I'm not sure if you're saying it's fine to him or to yourself, but deep down I know that's not true. I want to be showed off, and for some reason that turns him off. And what does that mean about our relationship? Well, the first thing I would say is, why is it important for you to be shown off? What does that mean to you? And this isn't a bad or good thing. This isn't a judgment call. It's just getting really clear on why that's important to you, what it means to you. Again, it could mean many, many things. And speaking your truth, expressing your truth is so important here. You have to be able to express that. Communicate with compassion and demonstrate your vulnerable heart to him. Let him see the vulnerability in your heart. And again, don't be attached to an outcome, but really be present in that. Because when a man is sincere with the person that he's with, he will be willing at some level, when he has that level of maturity, to go through and traverse the discomfort and the pain when he's really seeing the woman in his life show her vulnerable heart. And why are you saying that it's not fine when... So why are you saying that it's fine when it's not? Ask yourself, why are you hiding your voice? Where does that come from? Is that a habit and a pattern that you've created, that when you're uncomfortable and when you're maybe being mistreated, that you're hiding your voice, you're hiding away? Why is that? Maybe he needs to hear that. What are you hiding from? That's a really important aspect of all of this. Question here, how do you become more grounded and make roots? Self-love and self-compassion, and give yourself an opportunity to speak and get clear on what you want and what you desire in a relationship, what your non-negotiables and negotiables are in a relationship. That will help keep you grounded. And then there are practices such as surrounding yourself with people that you love and care for, being immersed in nature, self-care, massage, being in the ocean, going for walks, looking after your body, eating right, really ground in that sense. That's really helpful as well. Meditation, dancing, movement is very grounding as well. So that can really help you. And I want to ask you where your truth has been stunted before in your life. That's an important question to ask as well. And do you feel fear in expressing yourself? And where in the body do you feel that? And does it remind you of anything? And that can help you understand yourself at greater depths and potentially share these experiences and share this understanding with a professional, a therapist, a counselor, a shaman, a healer of some sort that will really, really help you. Have you had agreements, or have you had a discussion around your agreements in relationship? What are your agreements? What are his agreements? What do you both want in the relationship? And have you got clarity on that? That's really important as well. And ultimately, he can't, neither can you, make choices on how he behaves in the relationship if he doesn't know how you're feeling and if he's not experiencing that. Now, you may say, but can't he see it? Yeah, maybe he can, and maybe he wants to ignore it because it's too confronting for him and he hasn't got the skills to communicate, or he has got fear around communication because of his upbringing as well, because of his values, his familial values. And this is something that you both have to negotiate. There may just not be a fit with both of you. I'm not sure exactly how long you've been together as well. I'm not sure if you did mention that. I don't think that you did. You just mentioned that it's the longest relationship. And so maybe it's at a point where you're hitting some of those walls. The honeymoon period is over. The hormonal flux and rush is over. And now you're pushing on each other's edges. Now you're getting to the real stuff, the meaty stuff. And that's why this is coming up for you. And it's an opportunity to have that deep conversation and get really clear on, is the relationship for you, and what does all of that look like and feel like. I hope that's helped a little bit. Many blessings to you. Remember, it's not about blame and shame. Don't blame him, don't shame him, don't blame and shame yourself. You're two people on a journey. He's got values, you've got values. Values can change per se, depending on what type of values they are. And helping you understand yourself in relationship can be mirrored by your partner. And having that open conversation in a compassionate and clear way is so helpful. Power and blessings to you. I'll see you again soon, beautiful people.